The side table from a single board was a concept that I had originated for an article in Fine Woodworking to cover two fundamental processes in the making of a piece of furniture, which we typically skip over. On the front end, it's basically choosing a board and busting it up into parts. Just milling, one of the fundamental aspects. And the second aspect we tend to treat as more of an advanced level concern for woodworkers, which is grain selection. How we're matching piece to piece for a great color match, and how we're orienting the grain in each piece to get great grain to really either pop a surface or highlight the lines of the piece. Now, what I had in mind for the project was a simple shaker table with a drawer and tapered legs. Nice, but not all that interesting. So to give it a little pizzazz, I thought, well, let me try a little twist on the leg and see if we couldn't spice it up. And what I came up with, actually sort of unintentionally, is a traditional Cabriole leg. And the main elements of the Cabriole leg are a square corner post at the top of the leg and an S shape below, which creates a knee, an ankle, and a foot. And it's these elements that I try to incorporate in the legs of this table in a slightly more understated way. But just like the Cabriole leg, I started off with a square leg post at the top. And this serves a really important function of lightening the look of the piece and giving it, I think, a more delicate feel to it. And below the post, I have a harder shoulder, which creates the knee. And below it, a really subtle S curve. It's kind of hard to see, but it does create both an ankle and a foot to the leg. And on the inside is just a very subtle curve to that taper. Now, on the traditional leg, it had an added element. Once the piece was glued together, there was a corner block which was added to the front apron and side aprons of the piece to sort of finish off the shape of that Cabriole leg and really tie everything together. It's gorgeous, but I didn't want to be adding corner blocks to this little table, so I needed to kind of resolve that shape before it hit the apron. What I ended up doing was curving the outside faces so that the corner line on that inside corner was even with the corner of that leg post at the top. This sort of ended that curve right where it met the apron. I think that's kind of a nice look, but there was an unexpected effect of doing that. What it did was it created, instead of a square profile to the leg like we have at the top, it created more of an elongated diamond shape to the leg. And this is really cool because as you walk around the table, it goes from sort of narrow to slightly wider to very wide, depending on the angle in which you're viewing the leg. And what's really cool, as you walk around the table, you're viewing all four legs from slightly different orientations. And the legs tend to widen and thin as you walk around the piece, and it really gives it a sense of energy. And it's hard to wrap your head around the design of the piece. You tend to focus and look and kind of look, and it tends to move as you walk around it. And it's one of those happy surprises that once you get the shape, you create a template, and it's like, okay, that looks like okay, but I still don't know what I've got here. So you create a three-dimensional leg, and it's like, well, this is cool enough to make another three. And then you get four in place, and all of a sudden this transformation takes place. And once you see them all in space, all of a sudden you're hit with this design element you weren't really expecting, but you're happy to see it once it's there. That's kind of neat.